Warning. I chain smoke and I say fuck a lot. But I accept myself for the way I am. I accept you too. Viewer discretion advised. From the Epstein documents, page 278. Other than Glenn Dubin, Stephen Kaufman, Prince Andrew, Jean-Luc Brunel, Bill Richardson, another prince, a large hotel chain owner, and Marvin Minsky, is there anyone else that Ghislaine Maxwell directed you to have sex with? I'm definitely sure there is. But can I remember everyone's name? No. Here's the list that I gathered for her. She was forced to have sex with Epstein, Prince Andrew, Alan Dershowitz, Jean-Luc Brunel, Marvin Minsky, Bill Richardson, George Mitchell, Tom Pritzker, Glenn Dubin, Stephen Kaufman, a former prime minister, foreign prince, and a large hotel chain owner. And maybe more. From the Epstein documents, page 726. She said Jeffrey Epstein told her she would be going to his island to meet a new client, and he's a Harvard professor named Stephen. I would be spending 2 days with him, showing him around the island, dining with him, and treating him to a massage whenever he wanted. Without Jeffrey even verbalizing the need to have sex with him, he told me to keep him happy like I had my first client. So she headed to the island. Stephen was a quirky little man with white hair and a mad scientist look about him. We arrived separately and greeted him when one of the housekeepers picked him up from the airport and arrived by boat, instead of helicopter, as Jeffrey and Ghislaine often arrive on. We made our acquaintances, and he looked as if he was tripping over himself with words. Obviously delighted with his company and location for the weekend, I showed him around, as Jeffrey had asked, and took him on an adventurous quad bike ride around the small curvy paths, leading the way and letting loose my hair, doing something that gave me a natural high instead of prescription one. The sights alone were breathtaking from the mountainous peaks of the untouched parts of the island. We sat by a cliff and just sat there, not saying a word to each other, besides to compliment the sights, Mother Nature, that appealed to us. I didn't feel as if I owed the stranger anything, but what was expected of me by Jeffrey, and I could be polite, just couldn't be myself. We got back to the main villa to see what time dinner would be served, so we could have time to unpack beforehand. We both met at 6 p.m. for dinner, on the outside veranda. He sat at the head of the table and I sat next to him, politely folding my napkin to put in his lap. We both drank the red wine supplied on the table, and it seemed to warm me up on the breezy night. By the time dinner was served, and another red wine bottle later, he seemed to get funnier. I made fun of his tousled hair and he poked at me for my skinny legs, calling me a wannabe anorexic. When dessert was brought out, he asked if he could receive one of the delightful massages he has been hearing about from Jeffrey. I gulped more red wine down and sweetly complied with his offer, dreading the moment I'd have to see his naked body, let alone touch it. I asked the housekeeper Kathy, that had been serving us that night, to please have someone set up a massage bed in one of the cabanas. I went to my room to down a few Xanax, telling him I wanted to freshen up after dinner, but to meet me in his cabana in 20 minutes or so. I was ready to go, as I had said. 20 minutes later, with the effects of the tablets mixed with the red wine, and I would be free not to feel anything. He was still dressed when I got to the cabana. Obviously not accustomed to this and a lot shyer than what I had been used to. I told him he'd need to undress and lie down on the table, putting a towel to cover his bare bottom to prevent him feeling embarrassed during the massage. I gave the massage my earnest, as I always had, and quickly got through having intercourse with him, not wanting to make any foreplay or anything extravagant out of it. I let him think that that's as good as it got. And by the smile on his face, I thought I had done enough. The next day I took him down to the beach for a real massage under the tiki hut on the water's edge. It was one of Jeffrey's favorite places to have a massage, as he droned out the sound of the waves and my gentle therapeutic strokes. The rest of the afternoon we spent by the pool reading magazines and eating fruit plates. Eventually, we went to his cabana to have a nap later on. That night, after dinner, in my mixed cocktail of Xanax and red wine, I asked if he'd like another massage before I went to bed. He just wanted to stay up watching movies in Jeffrey's theater room. He probably just wanted to stay up and watch all the child porn in that theater. As peculiar as that request was to me, I didn't argue it. I just hoped I hadn't disappointed him in any way that could make it back to Jeffrey. I showed him how to use the remote and turn off the TV when he was finished before going to bed. The next morning we were both catching a flight from St. Thomas and had no time for anything other than breakfast and packing. which saved me from having to be too polite as we said our goodbyes from the terminal in the airport. I had been trying to find out who Stephen Kaufman was, because believe it or not, there's a lot of Stephen Kaufmans. You'd have no clue. The only difference in the testimony is it's spelled with 2 N's, so I could see how that could be a simple mistake. Virginia Jeffrey said that Epstein said that he worked at Harvard, and she described him of having somewhat of a mad scientist look. Here's a guy, Stephen P. Kaufman, Senior Lecturer of Business Administration for Harvard, so I'm pretty sure that's the one.
What actually is a CEO's role? Steve Kaufman is Senior Lecturer at Harvard Business School and also the PricewaterhouseCoopers Research Fellow at the Australian School of Business. So, Steve, hello and welcome.
Thank you.
Firstly, can you tell me, what is the role of a CEO?
That's an interesting question. In my mind, a CEO has 5 principal responsibilities. The first is responsibility of leadership, and for me that means energizing and motivating the entire workforce, getting them excited about coming to work for the institution and the goals of that institution. Second, it's leading the strategy development of the organization, making sure that where the company is going makes sense and delivers value to its shareholders, whether it's a privately owned company or a publicly owned company.
I can't listen to this guy anymore, he's fucking boring. And just to make sure this is the correct Stephen Kaufman, let's see if we can find another connection. From October 22nd, 2013. MIT Technology Review, Stephen and Karen Kaufman, Boston, Massachusetts. Steve earned an MIT degree in economics and engineering in 1963 and an MBA from Harvard in 1965. He retired as chairman and CEO of Arrow Electronics and is now a senior lecturer of business administration at Harvard Business School. And his wife, Karen, had a successful marketing career in Manhattan before moving to Boston. She is now co-chair of the Council for the Arts at MIT. His wife is gonna be pissed. Unless you already knew about it. Fucking stoned. I got